Welcome to Wake Up with Joni, the podcast where embodied consciousness meets life through awareness. Today's guest is a force of nature, a woman whose life story challenges what we've been taught about health, healing, and what's truly possible in the human body. Karen ZuZu Arms is a holistic health educator, practitioner, author, and founder of Holistic Health Educators, a platform that has reached thousands with a mission to restore our understanding of the body's innate intelligence and capacity to heal. But her work didn't begin in theory. It began in lived experience. I'm excited to hear her story unfold. She's a mother of 10, creator, teacher, chef, community leader, and visionary. Karen has built an extraordinary body of work, including certifications, educational programs, and the 69-acre Lily Fields Retreat Center in Georgia, a living, breathing space of transformation and learning. Her philosophy is simple but profound. Karen, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. I don't know who writes those, but that made me cry.
Oh my!
That sounds nice. I guess I don't sit back and look at things like that. What's all happened? Oh, thank you.
Yes, you're on the front lines. You're doing what you're called to do. You embody that. You're in the present moment. So you're not standing back and going, look at all the things I've done. That makes sense to me.
No. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get the pine mulch done before our big photo shoot on Saturday. It was always looking forward.
There is the 3D life that has to be lived as well.
Yes.
So this will be both YouTube and it will be audio only. So for the audio only out there, you got to look at a picture of ZuZu. You glow. And it makes me happy because you're my people. You're my demographic.
That's
I
awesome.
love it because you're living it.
I am living it. Yeah, I actually just figured out, Joni, a couple weeks ago. I was like, wait a minute. It was 40 years ago this year that I had my first green drink. Really, 40 years ago at college, I was introduced to green drinks by this amazing woman that I just fell in love with, and she had 12 kids. Anyhow, and I just fell in love with her. She was married to one of my professors at the university, and I ended up living them for a little while, and it was just great. And we're still very close. She's in her 90s, and some of her children are my best friends. And anyhow, with that, it has been 40 years. And I remember when I first started it and I was having babies, I was like, I'm going to live this. So when I'm old, thinking, of course, when you're 60-year-old, which is not true, because I feel amazing and I'm like 58, but when I'm old, I'll be able to go, hey, this works. I went through menopause, didn't even know it, didn't have a single flash. I have an incredible amount of energy. I still am ready for my sweetheart whenever he's ready. Like, we don't need to use anything. Like, our bodies still function, and it's just neat. So I'm excited to share anything you want to know about.
There are two camps out there right now. And one camp is saying, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I can't wait to hear what she does so that I can do that too. The other camp is going, oh yeah, right.
I know. And I've been talking to both camps for 40 years, so it's okay. Both camps. You know what? When people come to see me, and they come, I take new clients every month, not many, but when they come, I don't care what they're eating or drinking. I don't care what they're putting on their skin. I don't care. Like, it's their life. Like, they're living their life, and they've come because their life has them at point A, which isn't so great right now, or it's stage 1, or it's stage 4, or it's I've got MS or Parkinson's, or any of these things that, yes, you can almost always eliminate. I don't eliminate anything. I don't do the work they do. I just teach them how the body works, and then they do the work. So it's not like I'm out diagnosing people. I'm not. I'm literally helping them. I am a practitioner. I am helping them understand how the cells function. Where did the Parkinson's come from? Where did you get epilepsy? What happened when you had scoliosis? Like, where did these things come from? And then, hey, I reversed a bunch of this, and my clients have reversed thousands of things. It's just the understanding of how the cells function and how organs function. So to me, it's fun because it's food and lifestyle and thought patterns, and miracles happen. So to the camp that's like, yeah, right. I just dare you. I double dare you. Just come here for a week. Come and live with me at one of our retreats for just a week. Just show up and let me show you.
I dare you not to feel good, right?
Yeah, I dare you to not feel good and lose weight and have more energy and sleep better in 7 days. I dare you. I double dare you.
So what I heard, this is the biggest thread that I want to pull on everything you just said, is that you are absolutely coming from a place of non-judgment.
Oh.
Of acceptance and holding the container for people, no matter where they're at.
Please, Joni, I realized So I raised my family in a church. And when I left the church, I actually lost some of my children and grandchildren because then I was considered a spiritual danger because I wasn't in their church anymore. And I remember I studied religion in college as one of my understudies. And I was like, that's not God. God isn't in this breeding people and judging people. He'd be right. And then I got thinking, I don't feel love from people who judge me. So how could people I judge feel my love for them, even though I claim to love their guts or I claim to love them? If I'm judging them because their kids show up at church with a bunch of crap that nobody should ever put into a child's body. And a lot of people in the natural health world get very judgy. Years ago, I was like, many, many years ago, I'm like, no way. I taught my kids growing up that the best word is allow. The best word in the world is allow them to wear their pants around their crotch and feel cool. That's great. I hope you feel amazing. I may think it looks interesting, but I don't care. Like you're holding your own, honey. Just allow people to live their lives. Allow them just to be who they are. Allow them to worship how they want to, where they want to, who they want to. Like, who are we to be so righteous that we're right and everybody else is wrong? And I think that's obviously what's happening in the world, but I am absolutely zero judgment because if I'm judging them, they cannot feel my love and then they will not be able to heal. So that's where I come from.
As a coach, as a healer, as a therapist, as a doctor, as all those things, one would hope that that person has a consciousness level to be able to be non-judgmental. What I have said before, and I think it's important in this conversation, if people have a judgment, lean into it because that's probably where they're judging themselves. Lean into it to find out what the gift of freedom is there for them. Because if they can identify the judgment, if they can identify where it's coming from and why they're having it, they can release it.
The judgment from one camp, oh yeah, that's right. No way. There's a judgment towards me. But that's only a judgment because you don't believe you may have the opportunity or the ability to do just that. And I'm here to say, yes, you are. And yes, you can. So I welcome you to come because I don't feel the judgment from you. I feel the want and the desire to heal is in there. And you just don't know how to grab it out. And I'm just here to say, let's see if we can make that happen. So
yeah, that's what I do. Let's rock and roll. Yeah. And the other camp that says, yay, absolutely, let's go. That could be seen as a judgment or not, but it's working for them. It inspires and uplifts them. So go ahead and keep that one for now.
Yes, please keep that one. And what's great about that is they know because they're like, yes, I believe it, so I can achieve it. They have the optimistic attitude right now. And the pessimistic, we just have to get them up to higher vibration. So they change the optimism. And going from pessimism to optimism is a very large jump. They're going to need to want that. At the end of most podcasts, the podcast is like, what's the number one thing you wish people to learn or they can take away today? And the exact same thing is always believe you can do it because focus goes, energy flows. And if you're going to be down here not believing you can find healing, not at the end of a pharmaceutical bottle, you can find them in the garden. You can find healing in apothecaries. You can find healing using acupuncture, chiropractic. There's so many ways that you can help the body get well. If you believe it, then you're going to be able to achieve it. But if you believe that, yeah, that's never, she's just making that up to get money, or she's just probably some paid influencer. No, definitely not paid by any. If you only knew how much it costs to be on podcasts, to hire the lady to put them all together, to join all the different associations, to find the people you want to be with. This is an act of service and love for you, just so people realize getting onto your podcast isn't free. Right? You don't charge, but like some people do, but we're here to help you. I want to give back because that's all I want to do is help inspire and give.
Yes, yes, yes. And before we dive into your story, which I'm very much looking forward to, I want to say one more thing on that, which is you and I are the same personality type. So we're creators, wild energy, let's go. And so we need the people in our lives that are more solid and numbers oriented and support oriented and derivers. So we honor all the personality types out there and the ones that are in that one camp. If you could just move toward neutral so you can hear what's being said, that's good enough. All right, ZuZu, I want to hear, where did that wonderful and vibrational name come from? And what is your story? Why did you become a healer and on this mission?
It's a sad and happy story, but I had a really rough first marriage. It was left me with 5 children and abuse and just bad. And I had to get out of the situation so my daughters and my son would know they don't have to live like that with their relationships. And so I went to a friend of mine who said he played Monopoly with buildings. That's what he did. He just loved to buy buildings and sell buildings. And I said, hey, this is what's going on behind the closed doors. This is what's been happening. I need to get out. I think I went and talked with him beginning of December 1999. And December 19th, I moved into one of the buildings he had purchased, a location he had purchased. It was actually an old Catholic property. So it had an old Catholic convent and an old Catholic church that had been abandoned and left empty for decades, and then an old Catholic rectory that no one had lived in a very long time. So I was able to move into the rectory, which is an incredible story, by the way, because I moved there with $40 and 5 children and one single twin bed. Like, it was a miracle. That's a whole nother story. He became like a second father figure to me. And he called me ZuZu. It's because he said, it's going to be a wonderful life. You're going to be okay. It was amazing. I had known him and his wife and his kids for about 10 years at that point. He was in the theater and I was a director. And so we had lots of fun together, just in theater moments together. So that's where I got my name, ZuZu. So
I love it. Does it have a meaning?
no, just from It's a Wonderful Life, the movie, there was just a little character in there, a little girl named ZuZu. She was the daughter. And she just believed in her daddy and believed in the future. It just was named ZuZu, and It's a Wonderful Life. So that's where it came from.
It just feels good to say.
It does. So the property that we ended up finding, when I was traveling all of 22, I was looking for a place to open a retreat center, and I renovated an old RV. And it's really cool. I wrapped it in chromosomes and DNA and protein and heart and lungs. And it says, we love your guts on it. Super cool. Not hippie, just totally cool. You can see it on my Facebook page. So I traveled the country because after I left that religion, I also lost my husband. So I found this location and I'm looking at my pool house and I have it. We painted the whole property, but then I have It's Going to Be Wonderful on the pool house. So
I love it.
So
Full circle. Lovely.
full circle.
Yeah. So how did you come to be the practitioner? What do you practice?
Yeah.
That's two huge questions.
I grew up with epilepsy, but I reversed my epilepsy using food and nutrition only. And within 3 months, I was off of 3 medications. And I have not had a seizure since, haven't had an aura since. And I've been able to help countless people to the point where they were able to remove medications, work with their doctors. And so they are epileptic free as well by understanding something you mentioned when you talk about personalities, by understanding neurotransmitters. So I honestly don't believe that there's a personality test out there. I believe all of them are neurotransmitter tests because you and I are GABA dominant. I guarantee that that's your neurotransmitter. And if you ever get like, let's go change the world, we can do this, right? We're GABA driven. It's a passion that we have. We have some dopamine too. You'd be probably your secondary dopamine. But a GABA driven person, that's our personality type. And then if we are low in GABA, that personality is different. And so when I had epilepsy, that's a GABA deficiency, period. GABA controls all the electricity in the body. So of course, GABA controls seizures and Tourette's and all your loopy eyes and anything, even any kind of seizure. We are looking at GABA deficiency. So back then when I was studying, I was at a library reading books because there was no World Wide Web at that point. Remember, we're so old, right? Yeah, whatever. After I became a practitioner and when I was really doing a deep dive, I had become a practitioner back in 2010. And it probably wasn't until about 2015 that I was like, I am going to master this nervous system thing. And so I really did a deep dive, wrote a bunch on neurotransmitters. I was working with a neurological tech to see which your neurotransmitters you were dominant in and those that you were deficient in. And then to test your neurotransmitters to see, okay, you're dominant in GABA, but you're deficient in it. That's why there's a problem, right? So when I did that is when I sat back one day and I had written out a list of GABA-rich foods. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's all the food I ate. That's this I ate when I was reversing my epilepsy and just increasing my GABA. So I didn't have it anymore. And I think that was like, what else are they telling you? I said, no, wait a minute. That only took me a few months. What else are they not telling you? I started having children and living life. And so I was grinding my own wheat and making my own bread and doing homeopathy for the first 12 years of raising children and teaching about herbs and essential oils. And then I opened up a store, and then I opened a wellness center. It just escalated from that. It really became, what do the people need, Joni? So when I would teach my cooking classes, the biggest thing I heard is, where do you get all this stuff? And it's true. I drove 3 hours to an Amish community to get these things. I went to Chicago to get this. I was in some little remote area in Wisconsin called Meadow, which is like population 420, and we were 12 of them. It was just, what did the people need? Oh, you want a cafe? Okay, we'll open a cafe. it just evolved. And then the courses, I started writing my first course, the therapeutic nutritional counselor course, actually while I was becoming a holistic healthcare practitioner, because my training was intense. It's incredible, right? But the whole time I'm going, I didn't learn how to do this. And I didn't learn about this and I didn't learn about that. That's all very important before you take a course like this. So I wrote the TNC as before you become a practitioner, here's a course you need. And this is also for any mother on the planet, so they know how to reverse disease at home. And so I started writing that and then release of that. And then my daughter graduated from Johns Hopkins, one of my daughters, and she just fell in love with everything. She grew up like this. She grew up thinking she was in public health because people came to us, they were sick and they got well. So she grew up that all my kids just grew up thinking this is what everybody does. We all throw expos and we all work at grocery stores and at cafes. They didn't realize that I probably broke every child labor law. They always down that. And yeah, they're all entrepreneurs. They're doing great. But it was neat because she's now my partner with Holistic Health Educators. We went international in 2020 and it's been really neat. Yeah, it's Amy. She's so awesome. She's so fun. This morning, she's like, hey, Mom, we're going to fly down to Mexico for 3 days. And I'm going to go speak down there, work down there. Okay, see you back on Friday. Because we're shooting our big final episode of the documentary is on Saturday. She and her sweetie just fly all over and out there saving the world. But yeah, she's remarkable.
There's so many things you just said. I need to rewind and start back at GABA because this is the first conversation that I'm having with anyone about this. So I want to know GABA and what are the other ones and what are the characteristics and how does one improve them?
And what's even more important is how do we recognize the kryptonite? I have a neurotransmitter. I've got so much information on neurotransmitter because this is what I do for a living. I could even share with your listeners a neurotransmitter chart. But it's neat because the neurotransmitters, we have kryptonite. So for you and I, it's for GABA, when we're GABA driven, the kryptonite is going to be any kind of sugar or grain. So when we eat any kind of grain, we literally, it shuts our GABA down. I didn't realize this until I had my cafe. So my building had 3 stories and the cafe was on the lower level. And when we would make our organic, delicious gluten-free cookies, right? Then I would eat one, but I couldn't run up the stairs. And I always ran up the stairs. Everywhere I ever ran, I ran upstairs all the time. And I literally couldn't run up the stairs when I ate a cookie. And I was like, wait a minute. And of course, this is all around the time that I was writing all my stuff and doing my deep dive into the neurotransmitters. And that is when I realized that GABA is a deficiency that triggers all the electricity, but the kryptonite is any kind of grain or sugar. And still to this day, I can feel it. The main neurotransmitters, you have glutamate, right? You have GABA, you have dopamine, adrenaline, serotonin, oxytocin, and acetylcholine. And all of them do something different. Acetylcholine, a lot of people are deficient in acetylcholine because they've got all sorts of gut issues. It's the neurotransmitter of the parasympathetic nervous system. That is part of the autonomic nervous system, which is a branch of the peripheral system. But anyhow, a disruption or imbalance of this neurotransmitter can result in significant issues such as memory and movement. It tells the muscles to twitch and move. It also tells your hippocampus to store a memory. It plays an essential role in alertness and attention, learning and memory. It's essential for anybody associated with Alzheimer's, and then gut issues. It's incredible.
And that's which one?
It's acetylcholine.
Acetylcholine.
Yeah.
Okay,
so if people have an issue with gut memory, blood flow, dilation of the vessels, it slows the heart rate down. The gut, a lot of people have high blood pressure because they're constipated. That's the number one cause of high blood pressure, everybody. You all need to be having 2 bowel movements a day. Don't listen to anybody else. You were born to eat and poop, eat and poop, and eat and poop. Every baby eats and poops, right? Eat, poop, eat, poop, eat, poop. And that's exactly how it is for you. If you're having 2 meals a day, you should have 2 bowel movements a day. If you're having 3 meals a day, you should have 3 bowel movements a day. And I know that might sound completely incomprehensible, but that is how the body is designed to work. And so this is what you're not told, and we should be told when we're yum, is when we don't have those bowel movements every day, it's reabsorbed into our bloodstream. We literally have poop. We have stool elements all over in our bloodstream. That's just clogging up the blood vessels. And if you have high blood pressure, it's a lot of pressure, right? To push against vessels when it's full of all your debris you're supposed to be removing in the first place. But then you have debris that was supposed to come out and now it's stuck in the bloodstream. We're so simple. Our bodies are so simple to understand. And acetylcholine will help that as well. That'll help the gut break down the materials, relax, it'll call in HCl. So it's a really awesome neurotransmitter. You and I, we're GABA, and that literally controls all the electricity in the body. So any kind of tremors and shaking, I had a gentleman come in with an extra Y chromosome his whole life. He was in his 50s, right? And he just shakes and shakes and shakes and barely eat anymore with a spoon. I'm like, let's give you some, put him on GABA, boom, whole different world. Like just different world. It's just amazing. And
you and I would then, if we supplemented, we would do GABA.
Yep, we would. And like I'm pretty balanced with my GABA right now because we can
You don't need
tests to show that. But I still take it. Joni, I also take it a couple times a year. I'll just do a bunch of GABA for a month. I use a GABA Quicksilver Scientific. It also has L-theanine in it. This is where another thing we're not taught is, GABA is great. Your body makes it. You shouldn't have to take anything. I'm pretty much let your body make all the chemicals you need, just supplement to make it happen. With GABA, we might not have enough magnesium, so we're not making enough GABA. So minerals, the whole body. So if we don't have enough magnesium, then we might not be making enough GABA. And obviously there's amino acids that are needed as well to make the GABA. So in my practice, I definitely take that bird's eye view, and I always go upstream. What minerals are deficient, what amino acids are deficient, what vitamins are deficient that are making the GABA, acetylcholine, the dopamine, the serotonin, that kind of thing.
Do you determine this behaviorally, or do you do blood work?
We do some biofeedback. We have our own labs. We do blood work. We do a bunch of different things. But the Braverman test, you guys can all go on right now and take the Braverman test. And it is a test that you'll know, because you and I think different than an acetylcholine-driven person, different than a dopamine-driven person, different than a serotonin-driven person. And so we're going to answer questions differently. And I wish I still had my database. We had created this incredible database with this plasma biophysicist that we couldn't keep managing it anymore. But we are going to answer questions differently. So the Braverman test, you take it, maybe it's 40 minutes of a test. And at the end, you can see which neurotransmitters you're dominant in. So at least you have an idea of what you should be watching for. And then you can do some study on this paper I'm happy to share with you and your listeners. It tells you these are some symptoms if you're deficient in GABA or dopamine or serotonin. You might be feeling these things. And you can look it up online too.
Not serotonin, but the dopamine.
Yeah.
Dopamine fascinates me. At the end of one of our retreats, I warn people that they've been firing off their dopamine and that it's going to take a little while. So they may have a dip because they're so high from all of the emotional releases and the learnings and all that. And so there may be a dip in the following days. Is that the dopamine piece? And how does a person who is dopamine dominant present?
So dopamine, the number one source to help dopamine is oxygen, period. So like just getting into a hyperbaric chamber, your dopamine is going to increase. And the thing I love hyperbaric chambers, by the way, I honestly think the Earth was an hyperbaric chamber when we first got here. But anyhow, hyperbaric chambers are amazing. Any way to increase the oxygen in the blood, your iron levels are going to balance off. You're going to have more energy. You're going to feel better. You're going to lose weight. Like oxygen is just everything. Your muscles relax. Your myofascia relaxes. Like hardly anybody has what I'm thinking is adequate oxygen levels in the plasma. And that's what's great about that hyperbaric chamber is you can get into the hyperbaric chamber by the third time you've got oxygen in the plasma and then in the organs. The best thing to drive dopamine is ozonation, oxygen chambers, just phenomenal.
Breath work?
Yeah, breath work. Please, please, please get in there and do all your breath work. One of my favorite books I've read is Breath by James Nestor. Phenomenal book. And you can get it on Audible as well. It's yellow. I've listened to it a couple times when I'm driving around the country. It's amazing. But you also need phenylalanine and you need tyrosine. So those metabolize into dopamine and amino acids. That's probably my favorite thing to test people for is amino acid deficiency, because amino acids build a protein just like letters build a word. And so ERIC, that's my son, Eric. But if I don't have an E, then it would be Rick. If I wrap a present and put Rick on it, Eric's not going to open it. I have to have E. It's the same thing with building our body. Our whole body is built out of amino acids. And so if we are missing particular amino acids, then we can't build those proteins. When someone comes in like, I'm low on HCl, I have GERD and acid reflux. Okay, you probably are missing the components that make HCl in the first place, or the proteins that trigger HCl to be absorbed or released into the stomach. You always want to go upwards. One of my son-in-laws, he loves ChatGPT. And I like, whatever. I just ignore all of it. Whatever. I've tested and it's so wrong on so many things that I just ignore it. But he's like, no, no, no. It's all about how you ask the question. And you have to go deeper and deeper and deeper. That's exactly how it should be for our health. If you're not making enough GABA or dopamine, why? Oh, hey, you might be low in phenylene and L-tyrosine. Okay. Or L-theanine. Oh, okay. Then that's what you do. But back to your question on dopamine, it's super important for the coordination of all your body movements, your motivation, and reward. Dopamine foods the synapses between the neurons. When some emotional reward happens, such as the flood of joy felt when a goal has been accomplished, or coming to your retreat, or coming to a retreat, or just satisfying yourself, or making love, whatever is going to release that dopamine, it's amazing. It fires up and it brings all these feelings of pleasure into our life. And it encourages wakefulness. This is important. Dopamine and serotonin, you're not making at night. So if you get up at between 2 and 7 and you're depressed, you're having bad negative thoughts and things are just like the whole world's going to end. Yep. Because you're not supposed to be up. You're supposed to be sleeping. Melatonin is created when the sun sets because, hello, what we've also been taught is our endocrine system, all of our hormones are dependent on where the sun is. So when the sun comes up, then dopamine and serotonin, and we have different hormones released in the morning. But at night, when melatonin puts you to sleep because the sun is setting, you're supposed to be laying down and going to bed. You're not supposed to be up eating pizza till 2 a.m, right? Because you don't heal anytime except between 8 or 9 at night and 4 a.m. That's when the body heals. That's when the body heals the most. That's why you're supposed to be sleeping. But back to dopamine, if you get up because there's anxiety, there's mold spores in your house, whatever it might be, and you're up, you're not going to have the best thoughts between 2 and 7. You're just not going to have happy thoughts. It'll be hard to have those happy thoughts because dopamine and serotonin aren't there. When people get really depressed, obviously they're low in oxygen. Their gut is definitely screwed up. And they're depressed because they're not making any dopamine. You put them in a hyperbaric chamber, you do something.
That's an interesting comment because I've heard before that the gut is the second brain. Maybe it's the first brain, but anyway, it is like another brain, and that depression actually begins or lives there first.
Yeah. And one of the coolest things people don't realize is that your nervous system, so you've got this brain that's 2 to 4 pounds and it's sitting on a 2-ounce atlas. And then through that atlas, there's a hole and there's 31 sets of nerves that come down through the atlas and they go out down your spinal column to all your nerves, go to all the organs, signs, and tissues. So they're triggering constantly. So our brain, we're making neurotransmitters, but we also make a lot of them in our gut. But neurotransmitters need an environment, period. They need material. And so for GABA to be created in the gut, or acetylcholine or serotonin, we need material. And why we have so many more Tourette's and seizures and issues right now with shaking after the COVID thing than before is because everyone was using hand sanitizers. When they're using hand sanitizer, which are horrible, by the way, please eliminate them all from your life, whatever you want to do. But that's what I would do. It's killing all the healthy bacteria on your skin and it goes into your bloodstream and wipes out your microbiome. So now, because everyone's bathing in hand sanitizers and antibacterial everything, they've ruined their gut, destroyed it. We had millions of living, billions, trillions of little bacterial cells that are now gone that were maintaining homeostasis. And GABA, the neurotransmitter that controls electricity in the body, needs a healthy amount of probiotics and a healthy pH in order to even be created. So it was like, oh, wow. I was putting out videos during COVID going, hey, wait, like, hey, we got issues. Please don't be drinking that stuff. Now that people are reinoculating their guts and which you can do by just talking to people who have infections. That's good. We don't want to keep ourselves away from anybody who's sick, but that is helping our bodies to get back. And we're seeing a lot of the tremors and some of the issues subsiding in those who are reinoculating their system.
Fascinating. I have to tell you, I'm sitting here. I know you found me, but I'm like, what a gift she is. This is so much juicy information. And I just want to keep picking your brain. So are there any other neurotransmitters that we haven't touched on?
Oh, there's so many. Yeah.
Okay.
Glutamate probably is a big one that naturally occurs in foods that have high protein content, but it's the most active excitatory chemical messenger and it's an amino acid. So it's very important to maintain that in the diet. It represents about 90% of the excitatory neurotransmitters in our entire central nervous system. So it's very, very important. When neurons are working properly, all the extra glutamate is released by a cell, right? And it's packed up by glutamate transporter molecules. And so you need to maintain a really healthy level of glutamate. But it's really important. Only a small amount is actually needed to cause a synapse or excrete a neighboring cell. If you have too much of it, that's when we have an issue, right? So when we get an excess of glutamate, overexcites the cells. So neurons can turn into the energy, causing brain cells to lock up and stop working. There's a bunch we can talk about with glutamate, but this is why you avoid MSG. Right? You avoid bad forms of neurotoxins like that because they excite the brain too much. People don't realize that when you're eating Doritos or eating whatever food it might be that had MSG in it. By the way, MSG has like 60 different names right now. In 2014, I wrote a document, MSG, otherwise known as, and there were like 50 other names. Now you can't even count them all because everyone knows MSG is hard for the body. However, when you are eating anything with MSG in it, whatever you are doing is exciting your brain to do more. So if you're looking at pornography, and you're just chomping on those foods from the Chinese store and whatever, it's in so much, you guys. Idolized yeast extract. It's the amino sweet. Natural flavoring can have it, and you don't even know that it's in there because 6,000 chemicals can be under natural flavorings or whatever it is these days. You don't even know what we're exposed to. And so we're eating this MSG and whatever we're doing, yelling at our kids, being hateful on social media, we're going to do more of it. It excites the brain to do exactly what you're doing at that moment. That's why they put it in food, because you're eating, man, this is the best food ever. And you're going to keep going back to the best food ever, even though no, it's just they use glutamate, they use MSG. So those are things just to be aware of, that we can disrupt our natural balance just by consuming food that we don't recognize. I didn't know.
And essentially anything that's processed is going to have some sort of form of that.
Yeah.
Thinking as you were talking, I recently, and this is very weird in my life, fell in love with football. And every commercial on there is about food. And it's not good food. It's not kale salads.
Yeah.
And what do? They drink beer, they have pizza, they have the Doritos or the nachos. It's all, oh yeah, interesting.
Interesting. I read this study to go along with it. I read a study when I was writing my book about mean meat. And they did a study, Joni, where they looked at people that were incarcerated for really bad, like murders and like really crazy theft. And they all ate the same thing. They all drank beer and they ate Doritos, like 100% of the time. These people, they ate some kind of beef and they drank beer and they ate Doritos before they committed these crimes. And they're like, what are we putting into our kids? Because it was all these stimulus and it was meat. The mean meat was all about the fact that we're giving our kids meat slaughtered in horrible conditions, the animals that are freaking out, all the adrenaline is pumping, and that adrenaline goes right into the meat, which our kids are eating or you're eating. I have all this energy. No, you have beef adrenaline, guys. It's just, there's other ways to get your adrenaline levels up. I don't mind if people eat meat, by the way.
I live on a mountain. And it is a completely different chapter of my life. And the little breadcrumbs of the universe. It's a whole story. But the point is, people here, they eat the meat they kill. Just like back in the day. And it's natural and it's fascinating. And sorry for the vegetarians or vegans out there. Hopefully they are not judging. But
that's right. Don't be.
You don't hunt. The animals on our land know that it's safe here. So we have a lot of meandering creatures, and I love it. But I think it's amazing to be able to have food that is so pure.
Yeah.
We try to do that in all of what we eat. And
that's wonderful.
John is the chef. He's the cook, thank goodness, because you would just die. First of all, you talked about green drink 40 years ago. 40 years ago, I was drinking beer and eating Doritos. And I was in college.
We were in college.
Didn't run anyone over. I was able to come out of that. Yeah, but the last 8 years of being with John is probably the healthiest I've ever eaten in my life.
Oh,
yeah. If it didn't say lean cuisine on the box, I didn't eat it. Day. So
but
now
you feel it. You feel it. You feel the difference in the cells of the body. That's what I'm like. I could sing until cows came home. How you will feel this. You can't. Because what is your body made of?
I can't. One bite one thing, and I am a different person.
Mm.
And I cannot imagine going back and living that way. So the contrast is stark and it's beautiful. Somebody said living clean is its own reward, basically.
Yeah.
If you can just get to the place where you can get through that
Yeah.
initial letting go of the stuff we were addicted to. Our bodies are literally addicted, right?
It takes 3 months to get
3 months.
gluten. So gluten, to get it out of the body, takes 3 months out of the cell matrix, and the same for dairy. People do not realize what they put in dairy. And I'm a chef, right? So I've had cafes, and milk, the word milk just means white liquid. Just putting it out there. So if you see milk on a candy bar, I can tell you right now, just so it's a white liquid. They don't ever have to tell you what's in it. So don't be
Ooh.
thinking that milk, right, is the same as whole milk from a cow. And so there is so much deceit out there. But when you get dairy out of the system, it is so hard to go back and drink a cup of milk. I don't care if people eat organic ice cream once in a while or do whatever they want to do, but I don't care what you guys are eating or drinking. But I'm just saying it does take months to get dairy out of the human cell. And we weren't designed to suck out of a cow. We were designed to suck out of our mothers. Hello, I had babies they nursed. That's what they did. That's for the first couple of years of their life, right? We can use cow's milk as medicine. I use it during a Crohn's episode for some of our Crohn's clients. I'll recommend a raw milk kefir, but there's no need for dairy in any human's life, except
Wow.
a couple of years from your mom. Look at Americans. That's all I can say. Yeah. And I'm telling you, on my tombstone, and all my kids know, will be dairy is the #1 cause of osteoporosis, because I have to be teaching from the grave. If you want to avoid osteoporosis, stop eating your Swiss cheese because it causes Swiss cheese of the bones. Your dairy is causing osteoporosis because it is so acidic in the body when you eat it that it pulls the minerals out of your bone structure just to alkalize your bloodstream so you don't die. It's pretty simple. Our blood needs to be pH 7.365 pH. We need an alkaline bloodstream. And when we are sucking out our cows and eating a ton of meat and grain, all of it's acidic. And then we take our pharmaceuticals, which are all acidic. We have to get the minerals out of our bones just to maintain a high pH in our bloodstream. It's not hard to comprehend why we have to have a salad every day or more vegetables or fruits to help alkalize the body. So just being aware that, and if this is new for someone, that's fine. Just cut back how much milk you're having. I'm not telling you have to go vegan or nothing. Oh my gosh, I've seen enough vegans that are sick. Don't worry about that. I'm just saying, hey, consider maybe cutting back a little bit and just getting more energy out.
I think I may give up my Parmesan.
No, Parmesan's fine. Parmesan's fine. Yeah, because it's old. Like, it's ancient. It's been like, it's so old that if you're going to do any cheese, do the hard age for 55, that kind of stuff. You're fine. We had a farm for animal. And sometimes, like, I don't eat meat, but I'll eat bites of meat. But we have a half a cow from our farm in Arkansas, which we really should start selling to the public because it's the best meat I've ever had in my entire life. So just being aware of where the food comes from.
And acidic versus alkaline.
Alkaline.
That's what I want to pull a thread on, because stress is acidic. Okay, stress. Yeah, negative thinking.
Yep.
Low oxygen.
Yep.
Alcohol, big time.
Big time. If you want, I have a free pH chart. It's just go to ZuZuUnleashed.com and you can register to get emails that I'll send a couple times a year, so don't worry. But you get a free pH book. It's an ebook I wrote years ago.
That's amazing. I want all of you out there to go get that, because it's fascinating and really informative, and it can help steer what or how much you're eating. I don't want anyone to suffer. I hate diets, for example. Starvation or whatever it is. I really believe, and I think you're aligned with this, that tweaking it healthier and healthier, it's about feeling good. It's about being able to be a president in your life and be able to live life. So yes. Okay.
100%. You get the ebook is full of color and graphs. And then there's a chart you can just print and put it on your fridge, and it shows you the alkalizing foods and the acidic foods. So you can best make that change.
Awesome. I want to ask you about something that I'm fascinated by, because I wear a Fitbit. And it's the HRV. Do you work with that at all? Do you use that as a marker for health?
I don't. My daughter probably does more. We do the in-body scans and we do bone mineral density. We love to know all those things. You can use it as a marker. I like to look at the pH as a marker as well. What is the potential hydrogen when you wake up in the morning? What is it in the middle of the day? Blood glucose monitors are helpful because people can then see what's happening when their glucose is spiking. It might give us an idea of what's going on hormonally in the body. I'm glad you're doing it. That's great. Also help to understand, obviously, when you're sleeping cycles, et cetera, all that.
So I got a 90 last night, by the way.
Look at you go.
Anything less than an 88, I get really competitive with myself.
You're so fun. I love it. I love it. That's awesome you're doing that.
Yeah, and I have a client that did the glucose monitor, and she's incredibly healthy. Pilates, yoga, golfing. She eats well. Her husband, on the other hand, is 60 or 70 pounds overweight. And so she said, listen, let's just stick that on. We'll both do it. So he doesn't feel alone in it. And so she realized that, or he realized he ate some processed something and it spiked. Then later he ate just an apple and it spiked, almost the same spike. What is that's just blood sugar monitoring?
Yeah. Oh, I love talking about blood sugar.
Let's do it.
I love it. I love it. I love it because I'm seeing type 2 diabetics. Every one of them is also, if anything, they never go on insulin. For the last 20 years, I've been working with people with type 2 diabetic. I'm blood diabetics. Some of them aren't on insulin anymore. And I'm not doing anything. I'm just teaching how the body works. They have to do the work, but it's really easy to understand. This is so cool because you're only designed to have 1 teaspoon of sugar in the bloodstream at all times.
One
Period.
teaspoon.
1 teaspoon.
One of Coke has 14 tablespoons, right?
I know. So a teaspoon is what? 3 or 4 grams of sugar? That's it? Like in your bloodstream. Okay. This is the cool part. So if this is your bloodstream, right? And we're eating a piece of grain, like a piece of bread has between 3 and 4 teaspoons of sugar in it because grain turns into starch and starches are sugars. And so when you eat bread, that's sugar. Those molecules go in the bloodstream. When you drink milk, that's sugar because it's from a cow and that's milk to sugar to grow the baby calf and get her big. And so you are now putting all the sugar in the bloodstream. You eat sugar, you eat ice cream, you eat an orange, right? I don't care. All these different sugars, we'll get to the difference in a minute. We put all these sugars into the bloodstream. And so insulin and chromium are both needed to bring one of those molecules into the cell. So there's these receptor sites sticking off of every cell, hundreds of thousands of them. And there are certain cells for water called aquaporin receptors. You have to get things into the cell and you get them through osmosis, or there's a few different ways, and then cell receptors. Right now we're talking about cell receptors because insulin is needed in order to bring glucose into the cell, but so is chromium. Well, most people simply don't have enough chromium. And so by taking more cinnamon in their diet or more chromium, then we're getting all the sugar into the bloodstream. So a pre-diabetic, I'm like, oh, you need chromium, right? You need exercise and chromium, and then boom. It's like, I see it all, I can say almost every day, but I'm not there every day. But I see this all the time, that bringing in chromium or even just eating a lot more cinnamon, which is loaded with it, that's going to help the insulin attach to bring that glucose into the cell. That goes into the mitochondria and creates ADP. So now you have energy, right? And so when people are low on energy, it can be, number one, almost always they're low on iodine, so their thyroid is not making T4. But number two, they're low in chromium, right? Period. A lot of people are low in chromium. Guess why? We milled it out of the wheat kernel to make white bread. We got rid of the bran that makes you poop and the germ that has all your nutrients in it. So you can go buy white bread and get constipated and have nothing left of your body because it's so acidic. And then you can go to the health food store and buy wheat germ and wheat bread. No wonder we're low in chromium and we're having pre-diabetic issues. And so by changing the diet and exercising and bringing in some chromium, berberine, whatever, we can see some dramatic differences. I will put out there the type 1 diabetics. There's it's a tea that you make in the morning and it's all herbal, like marjoram and basils and whatnot. And there's a company called New Liver, N-U, and then liver, L-I-V-E-R. And this man had type 1 diabetes and he developed this tea that he drinks every morning. I take it every morning because I love what it does for my liver and it tastes wonderful. I actually take that every day. I'll have our type 1 and type 2 diabetics take that and just to help with the liver because that's where your conversions are happening. And it's really been amazing.
Yeah, I've heard that cinnamon is really good for you. I did not know why.
Yeah, and that's why, because it helps the sugar insulin. I didn't answer though. An apple will spike the sugar levels, but here's the cool part. The apple is loaded with fiber where the soda is not and the processed food is not. Fiber takes that sugar and literally and it diffuses it through the bloodstream for many, many hours. So you can eat an apple and then go run a mile, and that whole time you're running, that sugar is maintaining a balance because of the fiber. Applesauce, no, now we have too much sugar in our bloodstream without the fiber. So when you have fruit in its whole form, you have fiber, and it will help regulate that blood sugar and keep that blood sugar level throughout a longer period of time without the big, big spikes coming and going.
I would like you to talk to people out there who are on the edge. They
Yeah.
realize that their health is in trouble,
Mhm.
but they're unwilling or afraid to make changes. Now, I had a client whose husband had type 2 diabetes and he ignored it. He lost part of his foot, but he didn't want to give up his desserts. That's a
That's
choice. It's his
that's
choice.
allow.
Yeah, I hope you're
Allow.
not judging it.
Yep.
But what if somebody out here hears this and says, you know what, maybe I'll try an avocado pudding instead of ice cream at
Yeah.
night. You're very inspiring. So inspire them out there.
So sweet. You're so sweet. Number one, you can't do it. I was running to catch a plane. My one flight had come in early, and I was running through the Chicago airport, and I ran from terminal to terminal. Still don't know how I even had that bin to run that long, that far. I finally get into the plane. I'm the last person walking the plane. They shut the door, and I smell the fermenting man. And it's a huge 747 and like six, whatever it is. Both big, big planes. I don't know my planes very well. I just get on them. But anyhow, and I'm like, whoa, that man is fermenting. Like that's what I called him in my brain. Well, guess who sat next to this fermenting man? That would be me, right? And so I sat down. He had triple the extenders over his belly. He was horrifically sick. And I sat there, and I usually talk to everybody because I'm like, love everybody, right? Love their guts. And I couldn't talk to him. I literally could not. But what came to me, is in my book as well, is that no one, and he ordered food the whole 5-hour flight, just ate the whole time. And I thought to myself, no one told him he was worth it. No doctor ever said, hey, you are actually worth spending some time and energy on yourself right now. You have a lot to offer. So what I can tell people is they're actually worth it. They may not have been encouraged to eat this way by their family, and they might even be ridiculed for eating this way by their family. But you're worth it because each one of us has I call it the who. So people call it spiritual things and whatnot, but I call it the who. You have a who in you, right? Love Dr. Seuss, but you have that who that makes you want to get up in the morning. And maybe you don't want to get up in the morning. That's even more reason to do this, right? The number one thing to do is to hydrate the body. Drink 2 quarts of water by 2. Just try it. Drink a quart of water or 3 cups of water before you drink your coffee. Do something clean in the environment. Think of what your cells are floating in. If you wake up and you go right to the coffee machine, which is full, all your coffee, unless it's mycotoxin free, is full of mold, period, right? And it's all acidic, period. So you're going to put acid, mold, liquid for your cells to float around in, and you think you're going to feel amazing that day? No, you're just going to get an adrenaline rush, right? Because you're throwing a bunch of chemicals into your adrenals. That's not feeling good. Drinking water with some lemon in it. And right now during the retreat, we have 2 more days of this month's retreat. What I made for them before I came on with you is they all have their lemon water and their baking soda, and they all have their golden milk, right? So now they're going to be starting their day with their lemon water. They went out here to our front yard and did all sorts of beautiful Tai Chi and Qigong. And now they came in and had their golden milk. And now they're over at the center getting hyperbaric treatments and whatnot. We must look at everything we eat, everything we drink, and the crap you put on your skin. What is going to give you energy and clean you, and what is going to take energy and stuff you up, right? What is it? What's going to do it? So look at the Snickers bar, and it's not going to actually give you energy, right? It's really crappy chocolate, and it's really bad additives and all sorts of crap in there. Just read the ingredient list and go on EWG and look it up. But then that's going to give you fake energy for a minute, but an apple will give you energy for hours, right? And so just trying to simplify you and believe that you can make these changes, because you can. We're humans. Your body is like my body, right? Full differences, but and oh my gosh, how fun is it? There's a million people online that are going to encourage you every day to do it. There's so many motivational people out there who are like, you can do this today. You can join YouTube classes on motivation and people will get you motivated. And you can join a community that just is there to help you by giving you love notes every day in your inbox. There's so many ways to get a serotonin boost. And serotonin, by the way, is a neurotransmitter we didn't talk about. But serotonin, that hormone impacts the whole body, right? It stabilizes your mood. It allows feelings of well-being and comfort and passion, right? Happiness comes from serotonin and regulates the body temperature, right? And the appetite. It helps with sleep and digestion. Serotonin is amazing. And it is definitely something that we need more of. There's just so many ways to start, but the best place is with your mind, water, and then oxygen. Doing your water's free, mostly. Breath is free. If we can start oxygenating and hydrogenating, it's going to be an amazing beginning.
So start small, but start.
Start. Yep. Start with the mind when you wake up. My husband, when we got married, he's great. He's so good at balancing me, but his skin has completely changed just being with me for the last few years and getting in a sauna every day and eating this lifestyle. So you can do this, guys. You really can start your day over, because my husband, military, every pharmaceutical they ever wanted to throw in him, he's alive, and his kidney stones, we got married. He's like, I got really big kidney stones. And then my ultrasound technician, she's a surgeon from Russia. We have a lot of Russian speaking people here, by the way. So if you're Russian speaking, come, you'll love it. And she's like, well, the biggest kidney stones ever saw in my life, ever. So we worked on his kidney stones. They're all gone now, which has been amazing. His appendicitis, we got rid of that naturally, never had any appendix taken out. Like, he's really had some crazy things happen that he's like, I'm just going to preach this till the cows come home.
Please share the name of your most recent book or the book that you'd like to talk about.
This is it. This is the 4th edition of Live. And it'll be available on Audible and Kindle and in print.
This is great. Okay, so let's talk real quickly about your retreat center, what you offer, and then I have one more question for you.
Sure. The retreat center, we are here in Hawkinsville, Georgia, wherever that is. It's 67 to 69 acres. We did a bunch of permaculture work to it. We put in an electroculture garden. We put in a permaculture pond. We're going to build the dome houses and the Oppie houses. We run the property as a nonprofit. It is also where our wellness center is. And the wellness center, so people can stay on the property, the boathouse and the pool house. And then the wellness center, we run these retreats where people come for 5 or 8 or 10 days. We've had people here for about 60 days, was the longest one. But then they can eat the food and be in the wellness center with all of the different modalities that we have. And it's really,
where can they find you?
lilyfieldcenter.com. You can find everything at ZuZuUnleashed.com. So I set up ZuZuUnleashed.com as a landing page. So whenever people hear me speak, they know they can go one place and they can go to the school that's online. They can go to the Lilyfield Center. They can go to our meetings on Sundays.
Okay, perfect. All right. So you ready for the last question?
I am.
Okay. How do you recommend that the listener go out and live their most alive lives?
Their most alive lives. Well, number 1, believe you can. Number 2, stop all judgment. Just stop all judgment. Send love to every single person you see. You don't got to say anything, but you got to send it. Look at that person and next to you at Walmart or next to you at the grocery store, or next to you at the parking lot, next to you on the expressway, and just send them love. Just practice sending love. Practice sending love from your heart. I'm going to tell you, it's going to change you like nothing's changed you. And believe that you are not always right, because you're not. You're not. I'm not always right. Joni's not always. We're just not right. We're not right all the time. We just aren't. We aren't. There's so much we don't know. And so I've also raised my kids. Some of them are upset with me for raising them with this thought because it haunts them. But your beliefs are based on what you know. Your beliefs. So right now, your beliefs are based on what you know. You probably believe, some of you, that dairy was really good for you when we started this podcast, but now you've learned more. So your beliefs are going to change as you learn more. My beliefs are going to change. Politically, they've changed. Emotionally, they've changed. They've changed about food. They've changed my food, my religious ideas. All of our beliefs change based on what we know. So don't be afraid to learn from both sides of everything, so you can actually have more data points in the brain and in your cloud that you can make better decisions. But your beliefs are based on what you know. So you might believe right now that you can't achieve something, but it's only because you don't know how to do that. And once you learn how you can achieve something better, then your belief will be, no, I can lose weight. I can start picking up those dumbbells. I can start just walking up and down my stairs 6 times a day. I can start doing something to better my life. So that's probably what I would recommend.
I love it. Thank you so much. There's so many things I wanted to ask you about. 10 children. There's so much I wanted to ask you, but there is so much juicy goodness in all the information that you shared. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for what
you.
you put out there and the work that you're doing. It's incredibly powerful.
Well, thank you so much, Joni. And so is yours. So thank you for inspiring people to wake up and become
Yes.
alive.
Thank you. So, people out there, if something in this episode spoke to you, and it had to have, and if it stirred something, challenged something, or opened a new doorway in how you see your body, your health, and what's truly possible, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with somebody that you care about. This is how we ripple out the change. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, rate, review the show, and it helps us reach more people and make a difference. Remember, you can learn more about ZuZu's work, her teachings, and upcoming retreats at ZuZuUnleashed.com. If you haven't already, pick up my book, Stop, Look, Choose, Your Journey to Peace and Freedom. It helps to understand the journey in between times. And now my favorite part, beautiful humans. It's your turn to go out and live your most alive life.